Hello and welcome to Homestead Imaginations. I am Josh and we're gonna do July's garden tour, but it's August 1st. Little behind. Haven't gotten to things I've wanted to in time. Things are definitely struggling. But here's the main gardens. Here, this will start over here. Strawberries, those are mostly all June bearing, so they're pretty much done for the year. And then that one bed there is an everbearing, but that's brand new. We just got one plant last year, so it's still self-propagating. So it's already increasing its numbers, so like that really won't be really everbearing until like next year when the plants are mature. But at least that's getting started. I'm gonna put in 2 more strawberry beds. My goal is to hopefully get more runners as these keep pushing out, and I wanna fill 2 more raised beds of the everbearing, hopefully this year. These 2 gardens with the shade cloth on them, I'm going to be taking the shade cloth off because it didn't help. I think I planted my stuff too early. I've been trying and I've been struggling for the last few years to get broccoli, to get lettuce, any of the greens, cauliflower, spinach, arugula. Like they have been struggling for me the last like 3 years now. I think I've screwed this up, maybe even 4. And I even got shade cloths to try and cover this to help bring down the temperature so they would stop bolting. But once I really got obsessed and into gardening, I wanted to get my plants out as early as possible. So like I'm planting like early May to mid-May at the latest. Like this year was like mid-May when I got the stuff out. And even then, like we're still having huge fluctuations of temperatures, like all the way down to the 40s and then back into like the 70s and 80s. So like the huge swings of temperature. And I saw a video by M.I. Gardener, and he was talking about don't plant your broccoli too soon. This is why it can cause them to bolt, not necessarily because of the heat a plant will bolt, but it can also bolt because of just huge fluctuations in temperature. Now all my gardens basically get sun all day. The sun comes up here, it literally goes over the house, and they don't receive any shade all day until literally like 7 o'clock at night. Because then there's this tree right here that gives a little bit of shade for just these gardens. And it's not much. Even that back garden probably doesn't get any shade. It's just this one garden will get some shade. So then I thought back, and I was like, when we first started gardening, our first garden, when we were just brand new, didn't know what we were doing, just decided we were going to try a garden. We planted stuff. It was like after Memorial Weekend, or Memorial Weekend is when we were like, all right, we went to a garden store, bought a bunch of seedlings, came home and filled. We just had one of these 10 by 10s. That was our first garden, was just one of these 10 by 10s. That's all we had. And we planted broccoli, we planted lettuce, and everything grew great. Like we had no issues, still the same sun, everything, still hot days, and we were able to get broccoli, we got cauliflower, we got the lettuce that grew, like no issues. So I think I'm planting this stuff too soon, so I'm changing it. I'm not trying to get stuff out here anymore as early as possible. I'm going to be planting for like Memorial Weekend, or like just before it or right after it, but around that time going forward to hopefully to make sure that we're past like the huge fluctuations of temperature. So I'm going to be taking the shade cloths off. I have started I got 4 arugula, 4 spinach, 4 romaine lettuce, and 8 broccoli and 8 cauliflower that I'm going to be bringing out and putting into these garden beds. So most of it's probably all going to fit in this one garden bed. So the other garden bed's going to be done for the year. I'm going to be cutting everything out and just calling it a day on the one garden bed. The rest of it I'm going to then fill with those new plants and hope and see what happens. So I'm hoping for like a fall harvest of that kind of stuff and see if that does the trick. And then next year, like I said, I'm going to start planting everything later, just to make sure I get past that huge fluctuation and see what helps. This is our bed of onions, which are growing really well. Our yellow onions are definitely growing very well. You can see them. A lot of these burgundy ones have like kind of toppled over, and they didn't get as big for some reason. So they're all very small, toppling over. Probably getting ready to harvest this stuff soon. But I definitely have a lot more yellow onions. My red burgundy seeds were older and I didn't get the germination rate I was looking for, so I didn't get as many red burgundy ones as I wanted. This is sweet potatoes, so those are growing well. I've got another spot that I only planned on 4, but I had a lot more, so I put them in a different area. I just harvested my garlic just before this video in a different video that you'll be able to catch. These are my potatoes. I've got Yukon Gold is this first row, and they're definitely, they might be like earlier ones because like they definitely had more of them start to die off. Now it's been super hot. We haven't been great about watering. I need to get an irrigation system up and running. That is definitely my biggest thing that I want for next year, is setting up some form of irrigation, some way of being able to water my plants a lot easier, because right now I've got these 50-gallon rain barrels right next to the house that I collect rainwater. I ran out of water during this dry spell in July, and plants obviously suffered. We even had to go I have a creek in the very back. We went to the creek to fill water, which is a huge pain to do that. So I want an irrigation system, either something that I can like put out here, get a hose or a pump, because we fill little buckets of water, little, you know, your spray spout things, and then we'll then water what we can. Then we go back, we have to fill it, wait for it to fill, then go back and water the next group of plants, and so on and so forth. So it takes a long time. Luckily my kids do help. I have them come out and have them take care of the watering as much as we can. This garden bed is extremely frustrating. If you are going to put in raised beds, definitely put in hardware cloth on the bottom. I believe they're chipmunks. I've seen chipmunks run around. They were eating my strawberries earlier in this year, but now they're like eating everything freaking else. So I'll show you like here. The camera should be catching it, but like right there, that shade, that's chew marks. And then I think there's another one that they're actively chewing on. Yeah, oh, this one's terrible. They completely ate the entire thing out of it. Look at that. My fingers are inside the beetroot, and they ate from like the top all the way down to the ground. So like that one is completely dead. They ate a couple other ones that I've already pulled out. So I'm not gonna get the beet harvest that I really want. Very frustrating. Here's a little hole. I filled it in numerous times, but they just keep digging new spots and doing different stuff. So I'm letting them be for right now, but once I harvest everything out of this garden, I am taking the soil all out. I'm flipping this thing upside down. I'm putting hardware cloth on the bottom and sealing this off. So that way, hopefully they don't dig from underneath to get here. They'd have to come on the top, which seems like they don't really do that. But they make little tunnels underneath here because it's safe, and then they can make little homes, and it's gotten out of control. So they're enemy number 1 right now. These are carrots. Hopefully they leave my carrots alone. Hopefully they leave the rest of the beets alone. A lot of the beets I'm probably going to harvest, at least the bigger ones, before hopefully they start eating them, because there are some beets that are really big. Here is our asparagus. We only have 2 kinds. One kind didn't make it through last year's planting, but the other 2 did. We did not harvest them because even though they were last year's, those were started from seed. These ones were started from the roots and the root balls that you get. Those we could have harvested this year because they tell you not to do it the first year, so you let your plant like establish its roots and grow. But I wanted to give them another year because they really weren't that big and that great this year. And they were definitely struggling. I need to redo this. I don't know if I'm going to get to it this year, but I do need to redo this. I need to get the boards deeper in the ground. I need to mulch, and I actually need to put more topsoil in these areas. The asparagus definitely needs to be growing deeper in the ground. It's too shallow. I think that's why I lost the middle one here. It couldn't survive. It was just too shallow. And then I need to properly mulch it and hopefully get rid of the weed issue. Everywhere, that's a big theme. Weeds have taken over, and I have not been able to defend them. Like, there's just weeds, grass growing into everything. It's a lot. It's a real lot. It's a full-time job that I'm trying to do part-time and by myself. Like it's also like a multi-person, a family job, and it's pretty much just me. I get some help here and there, but for the most part, most activities are strictly just me. This is my corn. That's the first batch of corn. They're getting there. They're almost ready. Maybe another week or two I might be able to start harvesting those. These I planted, I think 3 weeks out after I planted the other ones. So these should be like a few weeks behind. It's another variety of sweet corn. We're trying to figure out like what kind of variety of sweet corn we want and we like. So originally I bought 3 sweet corns and 1 popcorn. And I planted them all at the same time last year, all right next to each other. And when we went to harvest them, they didn't taste very good because popcorn isn't very sweet, and it's also not soft. It was super hard. Plus, I think I waited too long to harvest last year. Weeds are taking over my garden beds, as you can tell. Like it's bad. I need to mulch a lot thicker. I've definitely learned some lessons this year, but this was an extra row. I had no plans for it. I wanted 1 extra row beyond my plans. So I planned everything out, what I needed for plants, how many of each plant. And I made sure that when I was filling these gardens in and getting this gardens actually set up this year for the first time, this is my first year growing in these gardens, I made and set up 1 extra bed. And so this was supposed to be extra, but then I ended up planning, I had extra sweet potatoes and I wanted more sweet potatoes. And I wanted to try and see how well they would do. This is topsoil on top. So there's like manure and compost first on top of the clay. Then I put topsoil, and then I put, or first leaves, then the topsoil, then the wood chips for mulch. So here is just kind of testing to see how well sweet potatoes will grow in the ground that's, not too thick before you get to clay, which then it's not going to be able to grow into clay because we have very, very thick clay. Then we've got our tomatoes. They're doing awesome. Probably too much. I think I'm growing too many slicer tomatoes. We do eat like salads, but we don't eat too many like sandwich type stuff. Every now and then we have like subs and stuff, but not too often. So like slicers, I think we were gonna get too many. But paste tomatoes for sauce, we've got a bunch of those this year. In the past, we've been making sauce, and it's been just out of like your regular like beefsteak tomatoes that you use for like sandwiches and and salads and whatnot. And it's always been very runny because we're not using the right kind. So we finally grew the right kind this year. So we're excited to start making some sauce with the right kind of tomatoes. We got Amish paste, we've got San Marzanos, and what was the other one? Oh, there's one more. Romas. So I think we're good on tomatoes, like plant-wise, like the quantity. I think we'll be all right. We'll see. I won't know until next year when I start planning for the gardens next year of like, do I need more tomato plants? So there's 26 tomato plants here. All of them survived. I thought I was going to lose 1, but it actually made it and survived and is doing great. Then we go on to here. We got our beans. We got green beans, yellow beans. I planted 60 beans. As you can see, like this is a very thick planting. I need to get out here and harvest. Some stuff is definitely going to be too big. I let some of it go too big. And with your beans, if you let them get too thick, they get very chewy, and they don't taste very good. They lose a lot of their flavor. So that kind of stuff I will probably just rip open and then feed the chickens the beans. They like peas, so I think they'll like the beans, but I gotta get out here and harvest before we lose too much. But a lot of it looks pretty good. But I'll be out here harvesting those just after this. Then we got our peppers. I got 26 peppers of tons of, a lot of it, mostly bell. I do have some sweet banana peppers. I have 6 jalapeno peppers, but then I have a cayenne and habanero peppers. Growing those for the first time. I also tried growing Tabasco, but that didn't make it. Peppers, I'm going to start a little bit later. they're very small, and they were flowering in my basement, and so I think they got stunted on their size, which is making them grow really small peppers. They're finally now just starting to get kind of tall. Like, granted, like we still have at least another month and a half of like grow season, but like it took them forever to put on any kind of size. I think they were very root bound and stunted because they were already putting out flowers in the basement. So I'm gonna start my peppers a little bit later, not as early, because they were started too early, and you know, they didn't do the best. Here I've got zucchini plants with some marigolds that are great for trying to keep away past like the beetles and stuff, which has definitely helped. But these were stunted. They were really small, so I think I'm going to start my zucchini a little bit sooner compared to when I started this year, just because they're really small, so they took a while to get established. They're really struggling with the heat and just not having the root structure and the leaves to really soak in everything that they needed. So they're just now starting to put out zucchini. I just harvested it the other day, so there's none out here currently, but I did get zucchini. I've got 4 plants. One is absolutely tiny. Here we've got Lincoln peas. They did all right. I definitely planted very thick. I pretty much planted them like right on top of each other because they're a vine, and I didn't come out here and make sure that they vine correctly up, so some didn't like go up the trellis here, so that would help them do a little bit better. But we got 1 harvest out of them, and there's a little bit more to harvest, so I'm going to harvest those as well today. Here we've got 2 kinds of eggplant. These 3 are long purple, and they are, I think this one is overripe at this point, but that's what they look like. And they look weak. I cut one open the other day just to see, and they're very seedy, so I thought they'd be the same. We usually, with our eggplant, we just like make eggplant parm with it. Sometimes we'll fry it, but for the most part, like, we really don't eat a lot of eggplant. We don't really like it, but I grew 4 plants of it. I'm probably not going to do that many again. Like, we really don't utilize it. So I maybe do just 4. That is Black Beauty, which they grow like the really big eggplant that you typically would see. And those are the ones that we usually use. That one actually hasn't produced any. So I don't know what's going on with that one, why it's not producing anything. So I'll probably get new seeds of that one anyways, just to be safe, because I don't think last year it grew very many, if any, last year. I think we had a very small harvest last year of eggplant. Then right behind it we got celery, which I'm pretty sure is ready to harvest. This is my first year growing celery, so I gotta still look into when I'm supposed to harvest celery, but that's not doing too bad. Then we go to our vine plants, which we've got mixed results here, but I'm very happy with what I have been able to do. So fully weeded out, like just tons of weeds. Weeds are an issue, of course. I need to mulch way thicker. I did not mulch as thick at all of what I needed to. I direct sowed these, which these did fairly well from a germination standpoint, and then grew really well. These snapped. I stopped coming out here and like spending time on my plants because I've been busy with other projects. So I've again neglected the garden, which I was trying not to do this year, but I did. Unfortunately, there's just too much to do and not enough time to do it. But these actually grew past that bar. If they would have, they grew on this side, so then they had nothing to grab onto. But if they grew on that side of the support beam on the fence and trellis on the fence, like, they're getting up there. Like, they're 7 feet tall. Those are 6-inch squares. So that one there is like just 2 squares short of the top. So they're at least 7 feet tall growing if they do well and they survive. Like, the wind doesn't blow them over. Like, I have to actually come out here and manage them and make sure that they're trellis and connecting on to the fence. Otherwise, I'll lose them. The wind will blow them over. Like, you know, there's one that's snapped right there. So if I do a good job of, you know, making sure that they're mulched properly, like now they're starting to survive because like the weeds are now mulching and covering the soil. But if I mulch this correctly, let the soil not get beat up by the sun, and make sure that it's properly watered, these things can grow at least 8 feet tall, I'm thinking. Like, we'll see how much, but they're still producing, which is great, because for me, I always put them in the other gardens with the black shade cloths that are only like 3-4 feet tall, the fence, and they would always grow over that, and as soon as they got over that, the wind would blow them over, they would snap, and then they would die, and then I'd be done getting sugar snap peas. So this is exciting to see that they, not only are they growing and they're getting super tall, but like they actually keep producing too. So like it's extended my growing season for them. But I also have some loss. There's things that have, I think, could have died, like from trying to mow or weed whack along the fence line. You know, if they were out and available, like that could have gotten some of these. I'm going to be trying to set up like a border in front of the fence and just fill it with wood chips to prevent like grass and weeds growing into the fence, so I can try and protect my, this is like a garden, this is my garden space, so try and protect my garden space from the weeds and make sure it's the soil stays healthy. But as you can see, they are starting to die. Some are still doing well, so I think like they can go this long in the season if they're just properly mulched and properly watered. Here is where the big deficit, the big losses have happened. I think I have like, I planted, I think 8 cucumber plants, 4 regular and 4 like pickling. And I think I'm down to 1 or 2 cucumbers left. Like they, again, another issue, I didn't mulch thick enough and I wasn't watering. Like, look at this guy. This is from, it died, but like that would have been a pickling cucumber had that not died, but that's like orange, so that's no good. I'll just grab that out of there. This is another one. This one starting to turn yellow. This plant is doing okay, but that's not great. Like, they need, cucumbers need water, and I did not water them well enough. Here's one cucumber. That'll be all right. Might be a little bitter, but that's the problem. Like, if you don't water your cucumbers, they're gonna get bitter, and they're not gonna taste very good. First time growing spaghetti squash, they're doing fantastic. I'm getting so many. There's 3 right here. Another one right there. 1 more there. Then I've got butternut. My butternut squash, unfortunately, are not doing well. I've got 1. I literally have 1 butternut squash out of 4 plants. I planted 4 butternut squash plants, hoping to get a ton of butternut because we like butternut squash. One thing that I definitely want to do different next year is, like, I started trellising them like sideways because I figured it'd just be easier. But I'm going to, next year, I'm going to try and trellis them like straight up because it's hard. Now when I get to a plant and I'm not sure, like, there's similarities, like some of these are the same, but like the spaghetti squash, that's fine, that's growing along that fence line, and I know that what that is because it doesn't look like anything else. Butternut squash looks different, so we're fine. But like, I've got 2 different kinds of varieties of pumpkin over here, so until they get bigger, I don't know what kind they are. And like this pumpkin, like, came from over there because that's where the pumpkins are, and I trellised it sideways, so like it goes into the other plant space. And I did plant them pretty close to each other because I figured like they would just go up the fence, but I didn't trellis them correctly for that method. I trellised them sideways, and so now they're actually encroaching on their neighbor's space. So I want to try and trellis these more straight up, and then once we get to the top, then start to like go sideways with it. Or trellis straight, try and go up and then straight back down would be ideal. So that way it's taking up its own space. But I might just extend the gardens and let them, I'll probably try and plant the exact same amount of quantities next year because I'm not going to learn anything out of this because I had so much loss because I didn't do things properly. So, but I do have, I started composting this row here inside the fence line, and I think I will extend the garden, give them a little bit more space, so that way I can kind of see the results and keep them a little bit more spaced out. So they can vine a little bit sideways and take up a little bit more space. So first time ever growing. This fence is brand new. Last winter. I mean, I finished it and got the fence up, finished it in December. So this is a first time actually trying to grow this stuff up a trellis and up a fence. Like, I always just grew my squash and everything, cucumbers, in the garden, just let them just run along the ground. So I wanted to get them off the ground so that way they don't catch any diseases, but also so they take up less space. So like, I'm maximizing my space by letting this stuff grow all up. Especially that one plant there, that one pumpkin plant. Like, I think it's this plant here, but it's all the way over there. Like, that would be taking up a ton of garden space on the ground if I had these growing on the ground. So things to improve on. Definitely learned a lot this year. There's always a lot to learn when you're talking about gardening, but raised beds, put hardware cloth in the bottom so you don't have rodents trying to make homes in your garden and eat your produce. Second, really, you got to mulch your soil. The sun beating up on a plant really dries out all the water that the plants would need to survive when it's not raining and when you're not watering. And also, if it dries out, that's killing all the microorganisms that really makes that soil healthy. So that's obviously not good. And you want that life. You want that full ecosystem going, and then your plants will do really well. So mulching, proper watering, it's basics really. I mean, it's nothing complicated. It's the thing about gardening. There's a lot to it, but nothing about it is complicated. You just gotta learn from your mistakes, learn what you're doing wrong, and ask questions if you need help. But it's rewarding when it works out, and it is also soul crushing when it doesn't, when you have all these different kind of failures and things that you did wrong that's your fault. But just know, we all make mistakes, we all start somewhere, and it's okay to fail as long as we learn from them. So that's it for today's July tour. This is what the garden looked like basically in July. It is August 1st, but I'm trying. Thank you for watching. I appreciate all the support. I know these are long videos, but some people, they like seeing the whole setup, how the garden is doing, to see all the things going right and all the failures. Because, you know, if I'm having issues and I go and watch someone else and they're also having issues, it at least helps me feel not so shitty. That I'm not the only one making mistakes. I'm not the only one that has bad things happen to them. So it's nice. And then maybe you know the fix of, you know, what you come across, and you see someone else and you can be like, oh, that's what you do, or oh, I didn't realize that's how I should be doing that. So it helps. So I know these are long videos. There's a lot to show. The goal was always to expand each year. I don't know if I'm going to expand the garden. I think I'm going to expand a little bit. I'm wrong, because I want to do I'm going to set up at least one garden bed for like a local food drop thing place. So I think a food pantry. Sorry. And I think I'm going to do that next year. I want to start helping. I want to make a difference, and I've been waiting for me to be set up, me to have things kind of figured out, and I feel like I'm pretty much there. I know I made a lot of mistakes this year, but I also have made a lot of improvements, a lot of positive things this year as well. So I think I'll expand slightly just for that, but everything else, I think I'm going to keep my numbers the same for next year. I think it depends on how the next few months go, and I look at what I've got still left in the freezer, and then if I get to canning anything, to know if I need more plants. So, but definitely gonna not try and expand too much, because I'm doing this part-time at best, and I'm still trying to do every other task that I have in life to do on top of this. And there's no point in overextending myself to a point where I can't keep up and I can't do it, and I lose all this produce. Like this year I've lost a lot of plants, I've lost a lot of different things, and that's a lot of hard work I put into this to not get any result. So I don't want to keep putting into work into something if I'm not going to get any in the return. So I need to focus on trying to really get everything done so that way I'm ready for it. So, all right, I will catch you guys in the next one. Thank you so much. Keep the imagination rolling. Bye-bye.